the Locked On NFL podcast in Los Angeles, the site of Super Bowl 56, Cincinnati Bengals, Los Angeles Rams. Joining us now, one of the great comeback stories post-career, Ryan Leach, of course, the host of the Bust podcast. Ryan, thanks for joining us, man.
You bet. My pleasure to be here.
Los Angeles, the site of Super Bowl 56. What do you think, man? Are they doing it right out here?
I mean, it's so spread out, you know, so I think it's a perfect city for that, unless you want, everybody, especially during a pandemic. It's a perfect time for that. If you want a city that's got everybody in one spot, it may be difficult to kind of get around and stuff. Like, I live here. I live like 20 minutes from here, so it's convenient for me.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, not bad. When you look at this matchup, a pair of number one overall picks,
Right.
different routes to the Super Bowl. Joe Burrow, 2 short years. Matthew Stafford. It took him 12 seasons to get to this point, win his first playoff game. Heavy expectations to turn around. A couple losing franchises. You faced that yourself when you got into the league. What's more impressive to you, the quick run to the Super Bowl like Joe Burrow or Matthew Stafford?
I think they're both really impressive. But what Joe Burrow has been able to do, right? No one expected this. This was a 4-win team from a year ago.
Yeah.
They were picking first overall 2 years ago, right? And Joe Burrow gets taken out of his first season with a knee injury. So no one expected that at all, except for Joe and everybody in that locker room, I think. On the other side of things, I think when you go out and trade for somebody like Matthew Stafford, there was a ton of expectation. So I don't know sometimes whether it's harder to do what no one expects you to do or what everybody expects you to do. Because even in this game, there's no expectation for Joe Burrow and Cincinnati to win the game. It's all on the LA Rams and what they did and what they mortgaged and what they put into winning a championship, because you could argue if they do not win a championship on Sunday, this season will be considered a failure in the eyes of a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a zero-sum game sometimes, especially with the NFL where it is. Lessons you learned when you see a cocky, not cocky, that's the wrong word, confident kid like Joe Burrow. Do you kind of get scared? Do you ever hesitate when you look at a guy with that high of confidence?
No, I think most guys have that. Even I had it, but you have to go back it up with your play, and he's definitely done that. So I think there is fear in the eyes of people when they're facing Patrick Mahomes, when they're facing Josh Allen, when they're definitely facing Lamar Jackson, and they have that when they face Joe Burrow. When you added Jamar Chase to the mix, that combo made for a very difficult night's sleep for defensive coordinators all over the NFL.
Yeah, some high-powered offenses for sure. When you look at the other weapons, the playmakers in this contest, you've got Odell Beckham Jr., you've got Cooper Kupp, the incredible season he had, Jamar Chase in his first season, taking the top off every defense he faces. Who impresses you the most?
Cooper Kupp, just simply because he's the best wide receiver in football, yet he continues to get open. I mean, that's when everybody in the whole stadium knows where the ball's going, yet he still finds a way to get open, and Matthew Stafford gives him the ball. I mean, both touchdowns to Cooper in the NFC Championship were situations where you were like, okay, they're going to Cooper. Bracket him. Put somebody on the outside of him. They decided to man him up, and he's just going to win those one-on-one battles. He's worked his tail off throughout his career to be the best route runner in the NFL right now.
Is it pretty shocking? I mean, you played just a few miles from him in Pullman, Washington State. He's at Eastern Washington. It's an even further route to the NFL.
Yeah, and he destroyed my Cougar team one year. They played, and it was one of the early FCS losses for Mike Leach against Eastern Washington, and he let them have it. So we knew who Cooper Kupp was. Yeah. And I think of course everybody in the entire world understands and knows who he is now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we knew him with the team with the red field, but they became kind of a serious FCS school after that. No doubt about it. As far as what's the X factor in your opinion as far as this contest goes? Like, we talked about the offense. Both of them can play defense. Is it not even an X factor? Is it that big number 99? How do you combat a guy like Aaron Donald?
It's going to be protection. It's going to be what you do up front on the line of scrimmage. Really is. It usually comes down to that. If they can protect enough for Joe Burrow, that's a different story. It's what that Cincinnati Bengals defense can do in this game, because they're the reason why Cincinnati's here. Besides McPherson and his foot, the defense, what they did in the second halves against the Kansas City Chiefs in Week 17 and then in the AFC Championship, I don't know how you go about that, how you can overstate that more. When Hilton mans up with Tyreek Hill in the slot and they do not let him get loose for one catch in the whole game in the second half, that's the difference maker. You got Trey Hendrickson getting after the quarterback, Sam Hubbard. Those are going to be the storylines, I think, when you get late in that football game.
Bust is the podcast, the host, Ryan Leaf. What storylines are you talking about most this week?
This week we're talking about the storylines around Matthew Stafford and the decision that the LA Rams made a year ago, right, to move away from a quarterback that got them to a Super Bowl, but because of people like Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and even Justin Herbert and now Joe Burrow, you have to have a quarterback that can get you past it. And you may be in a situation where you have a quarterback that misses one throw in the Super Bowl, a la Jimmy Garoppolo, and you're looking for something new. That's exactly what this is. They moved off from Jared Goff, brought in Matthew Stafford, who they thought was going to be the difference maker. He has lived up to the hype. He's played about as good as you can in the playoffs, and now he's got to go out and close it and finish it.
Worth the draft capital that they spent.
If they win it.
Yeah, if they win it, absolutely. Ryan Leaf, Bust is the podcast. Always great to catch up with the second overall pick out of 1998. Ryan, thanks for catching up with us.
You bet. My pleasure.